Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to take your source material, all that dense reading and research, and really boil it down to what you need to know. We're your expert guides, here to get you well-informed and fast.
And today, we are really diving into something, something truly ancient.
Yeah.
We're leaving the modern world behind and stepping into the high-stakes, frankly terrifying world of Norse mythology. Our listener has given us the foundational story of Asgard's creation, the myth of the master builders.
That's right. And our mission today is to unpack this story, which, it looks like a simple tale about building a wall on the surface.
It's no construction project.
Exactly. But it's actually, it's a masterclass in political risk, in disastrous negotiation, and really the sheer vulnerability of even these all-powerful gods. This one story sets up so much of what comes later.
It really does. It's the moment Asgard goes from being just a place to being a fortress.
Yeah.
And to get it, you have to understand the political scene at the time. The sources put us in a really critical, a really vulnerable spot. These are the early days.
Mm-hmm.
The huge world-changing war between the two tribes of gods, the Aesir and the Vanir, has just ended.
So think about that for a second. It's like they've just come out of a massive civil war. They're unified now, sure, but they must be exhausted. Their resources are strained, and they've been so focused inward.
Precisely. And while they were focused on internal politics, they completely neglected their external defenses.
Yeah.
They're exposed. And the giants and trolls who are always out there waiting, they see that weakness.
And the source material adds this one critical detail that makes everything so much more urgent.
Thor.
Thor is gone. He's away in the east fighting trolls. Their biggest defender, their nuclear option is completely off the board.
And that absence creates this perfect storm. It's a power vacuum that leads to a security crisis.
That's the leverage point, isn't it? The gods suddenly realize they have zero physical security. They're wide open to an existential threat. And so Odin, the Allfather, he has to stand up and articulate this impossible engineering challenge they're facing.
An impossible task, absolutely. He says the wall has to be high enough to keep out frost giants. So we're talking hundreds of feet tall.
And not just high, but thick enough that not even the strongest troll could batter its way through. This isn't just a fence, it's supposed to be an impenetrable shield.
And of course, it's Loki who immediately points out the obvious, grim reality of that. He says something like, that would take many years, far, far longer than they have before the giants get ideas.
And that gap, that massive void between their urgent need for total security right now and the long, hard reality of building it, that's what opens the door for a very, very dangerous proposition.
And that proposition walks in the very next day. A stranger shows up. He's described really simply, just a big man dressed as a smith. There's no fanfare. He just arrives with an offer that, frankly, seems to defy the laws of physics.
Okay, let's break down this initial negotiation, because what he's selling is confidence, isn't it? As much as construction. Mm-hmm. The gods are looking at a decades-long project.
Yeah, they're despairing.
And this guy just strolls in with a miracle solution. He promises to build a wall so perfectly fitted, so impregnable, that not an ant could find space enough to crawl through it. He's guaranteeing them permanent security.
And the timeline he gives them should have been the first massive red flag. He claims he can do this whole gargantuan thing in only 3 seasons.
A winter, a summer, and another winter. Just 18 months.
It's an immediate, screamingly obvious sign that something is wrong. But their desperation and the fact that Thor isn't there, it just blinds them. They're so focused on the outcome, the wall, that they totally ignore the impossibility of the process.
And because they're so desperate, the builder has the sheer audacity to name a price that isn't just high, it's existential. He's not asking for gold or magical artifacts. His demands go right to the very heart of cosmic order.
Exactly. There are 3 demands, and each one is like a pillar of their existence. The first one is personal. The hand of the beautiful goddess Freya in marriage.
And the other 2 are just cosmological, the sun that shines by day.
And the moon that gives light at night.
It's a classic case of demanding collateral that isn't just valuable, it's vital. He's not asking for their wealth. He's asking for the actual instruments of time and light and life.
Right. If they lose Freya, they lose the goddess of love, beauty, fertility, so much. And if the sun and moon are gone, the sources are clear, the world is plunged into darkness and chaos. You can't mark the seasons. Time itself breaks down.
If you look at this as a negotiation, the builder is basically asking for 100% of their civilization. It just shows how weak he thought they were, that he could even dare to ask for everything.
He sees their need for a wall as a lever to just completely dismantle their world.
And you see the personal cost immediately in Freya's reaction. The source gives this really sharp image. She doesn't scream or cry. Her lips are just pressed together, and her face was white with anger.
Is this immediate visceral reaction. She's just become collateral in their political screw-up.
And you get that little shimmering detail, too, about her necklace, the bruisings, shining like the northern lights. It's just this powerful visual reminder of what's at stake. The cost is real, it's immediate, and it's beautiful.
And then, before the real negotiation even starts, we get introduced to the actual key player in this whole scheme.
The horse.
The horse. The builder asks for a stable for his huge gray stallion, Svadilfari. And here's where the mythmakers are just brilliant. They tell you everything you need to know right there in the name.
It's that kind of mythological foreshadowing you just can't ignore. The source translates the name ominously as one who makes an unlucky journey.
A massive clue. It's basically screaming that this creature is going to be the agent of disruption and failure.
Yeah.
And it's almost unbelievable that the gods just gloss over that. But again, desperation just trumps wisdom every time.
It shows you they're so focused on the big, flashy demands, Freya, the sun, the moon, that they completely miss the one single variable that's going to decide everything.
The logistics. It's
Yeah.
all about the logistics.
So the builder is waiting outside, and the gods, as you'd expect, make an immediate unanimous decision.
No deal.
No deal. The price is insane. Freya is furious. She demands they beat the man for his impertinence and throw him out. The whole thing is dead on arrival.
And if the plan is dead, this is the moment Loki, the ultimate disruptor, decides to resurrect it. He steps in. He gives them this pivotal aha moment that turns their very reasonable fear into a very foolish sense of security.
He clears his throat, that classic Loki move, and basically tells them they're all idiots for focusing on the price.
He says they're ignoring something huge. He's basically saying the premise is flawed. The guy's timeline is quite impossible.
Right. He argues there is no one alive who could build a wall so high and so thick in 18 months. Not a giant or a god could do this, let alone a mortal man. He's so sure of it, he says he'd stake my skin on it.
This is Loki at his absolute best, or maybe his worst. He's using a kind of high-stakes risk management, or maybe, more accurately, logistical arbitrage. He just sees the price as totally irrelevant because the task itself is physically impossible. He's betting his life on the laws of physics and rock hauling.
So it's the perfect setup for a trap. He proposes this modified deal, totally confident the builder has to fail, which voids the contract and costs them nothing.
And the conditions he sets are just brutal. They're designed to guarantee failure. First, he cuts the deadline from 3 seasons down to just 1. The wall has to be totally done by the first day of summer.
And second, and this is the crucial part, the builder has to work completely alone. No help at all.
And Loki sells this as a total win-win. He says, look, we get 6 months of free, hard labor. He'll build the foundations. Then, when he inevitably fails, we pay him nothing at all, drive him away, and we're that much closer to having our wall.
The other gods are immediately sold on it. They're congratulating themselves on their intelligence and their bargaining ability.
It's a textbook case of overconfidence. I mean, they're basing everything on this one assumption. Loki did a great risk assessment on the man, but a terrible one on the variables.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the builder, who is arrogant in his own right, agrees to the single season and the no-help rule. But he has one counter condition.
He asks to use his horse, Svadilfari, to help haul the stones.
And this is it. This is the moment the whole carefully built safety net just unravels. Odin and the gods, they're so convinced by Loki's logic that the time limit is impossible anyway. They just think, oh, that's a reasonable request.
They see a horse, just a draft animal. They don't see the engine of the supernatural logistics operation. And that one tiny concession, that's the fatal flaw in Loki's whole scheme.
And then they make it binding. The stakes get raised to an incredible degree because they swear the mightiest, most unbreakable oaths.
On their weapons, on Odin's golden armoring Draupnir, and most importantly, on Odin's spear, Gungnir.
Let's just pause on Gungnir for a second because this is so important. Gungnir is the spear that never misses. It's forged by dwarves. It's imbued with this primordial binding magic. An oath sworn on Gungnir is the absolute highest form of contract in the 9 worlds.
It's truly unbreakable, which means there's no backing out. It creates this instant, massive tension. They have legally and divinely tied themselves to paying the price, Freya, the sun, the moon, if this giant finishes on time.
Which forces Loki's hand later on, right? They can't just break the deal. They have to find a way around it without technically breaking it.
Exactly. They swore on Gungnir that contract is now the most secure thing in the universe.
So let's see how quickly that security starts to crumble once the work actually begins.
Right. The work starts immediately. The gods are all standing there the next morning feeling very smug, very clever, and the builder starts fast. He's digging the foundation trench at an incredible speed.
Even Loki is, as the source says, grudgingly impressed with the digging, but he's still completely confident about the real bottleneck.
His logic is, on the surface, totally sound. He says something like, "It is one thing to dig a trench. It is another to haul stones many miles unaided." He's calculated the failure based on the limits of normal animal strength, the weight of the stone, the distance from the quarries. He thinks one round trip with the horse will take a week.
But the first reveal of Svadilfari's true power is immediate, and it's catastrophic for Loki's timeline. They're woken up before dawn by Heimdall's horn, and in the half-light, they see the builder returning.
And Svadilfari isn't pulling a small cart. He is steadily dragging a sled with a score of massive granite blocks on it.
20 enormous rocks, each one weighing tons.
And Baldur, the god of light, he's the first one to say it. He says that horse is stronger than any normal horse. Kvasir the Wise agrees. The strength is just. It's off the charts. It's way beyond anything they factored in.
This is the moment Loki's perfect logistical calculation just completely fails.
And you can see him starting to sweat. He tries to rationalize it, the way you do when your perfect plan is collapsing. He insists the horse will get tired, or the deep snows of winter will slow them down. He's telling everyone, this is all going according to plan.
But Freya, who saw the risk from the very beginning, she just cuts right through it. She gives him the most damning line in the whole story. She just says, "I hate you so much."
Her contempt is just, you can feel it. She knows that Loki's ego has put her life and the light of the entire world on a bet about a horse's stamina.
And from there, the story just becomes a race against nature, a race that Svadilfari seems to be winning. The deep snows come, blizzards hit, the mountain passes should be impassable.
But he just keeps going. He's described as sure-footed and implacable. He moves through the snow like it's not even there. Then the spring thaw comes, and the ground turns to this thick, wet mud. That should have stopped him for sure.
But no. He just keeps pulling that stone boat, cutting these deep gashes into the hillsides, just relentless, unstoppable efficiency. And the builder himself is working cheerfully, hauling these massive stones up hundreds of feet into place. It's not just strong, it's physics-defying.
It just confirms their worst fears. The volume of material being moved is doubling, tripling all of Loki's worst-case estimates. This is the failure of the unexamined variable. They were so focused on the giant, they never considered his logistical partner.
So the panic really starts to set in. Their confidence is gone, replaced by this mounting dread. Odin calls an emergency council, and Kvasir, the wise one, finally states the conclusion that Loki had tried so hard to obscure.
He says, "No man can do what this master builder is doing. I suspect that he must be something other than a man."
A giant. Odin confirms it. He has to be a frost or mountain giant.
Oh, man.
An enemy of Asgard. So now it's not just a bad deal. They've engineered their own invasion.
And they're all bitterly wishing Thor was back from hammering trolls in the East.
Loki is still weakly insisting it's impossible for him to finish in time, but the visual evidence is just undeniable. The wall is growing at this incredible pace. It's a glorious, imposing thing. It's actually going to work.
And then we hit the crisis point. It is now the very last day of winter. The wall is described as all but completed, and the gods finally realize they are facing a catastrophic loss, all because they made one tiny, trivial-seeming concession.
The use of a horse. They didn't just underestimate the horse, they underestimated the level of threat intelligence you need to run a kingdom.
And the atmosphere in Asgard is just. It's one of profound shame and sheer terror. The catastrophe isn't a theory anymore. It's scheduled to arrive with the sunrise tomorrow.
The gods are just sitting on their thrones, lamenting what's about to happen. Baldur mourns losing the sun. Bragi, the god of poetry, points out the practical problem of losing the moon. How do you even keep time?
Sadir, the god of single combat, is worried about the dishonor of losing Freya this way. This huge collective failure is hanging over all of them, but it's hanging most heavily over Loki.
And Freya's reaction. It's not sadness or fear anymore. It's cold. It's measured. And for Loki, it is extremely dangerous.
Her demand is chilling. She lays out her terms for if she's forced to go through with this. She's not asking for a rescue. She is demanding retribution. I would like to see whoever caused this calamity killed before I go.
She wants the life of the person responsible to be forfeit.
And Loki knows exactly who she means. He immediately tries to spread the blame around, the classic political move. He says, we all share equally in this unfortunate mistake. We all agreed to it.
But Freya's not having any of it. She cuts him off. She points right at him and says, you suggested it. You talked these idiots into it, and I will see you dead before I leave Asgard.
She is completely focused on the architect of the failure. For her, this is Loki's personal debt.
And then Odin, who's been silent this whole time, finally speaks, and he sides with Freya. He confirms the death threat. He condemns Loki for his poor counsel.
And he lays out the consequence. If that builder finishes the wall by tomorrow, Loki's death will be painful and long and a bad and shameful death at that.
This is it. This is the ultimate cost of Loki's cleverness. His life is now on the line, and it all depends on the last 20 stones being laid.
And he looks around at the faces of the other gods. The source says he sees only anger and resentment. There's no mercy for him in that room. He is totally, completely backed into a corner.
He has to solve this. He has less than 24 hours. And he has to do it without technically violating that unbreakable oath they swore in Gungnir. He can't just attack the giant.
The irony is just perfect, isn't it? Loki, the great rule breaker, is now forced to uphold the letter of the law while simultaneously engineering a total system failure for the giant. He has to become a champion of order, but his methods are going to be pure chaos.
It's the ultimate high-wire act. How do you stop an unstoppable machine when you're bound by an unbreakable contract?
Loki accepts. I mean, what choice does he have? He just nods and says, leave it to me. He knows he has to find a variable that is outside the contract, but essential to the giant's success.
And the weak link, as we've known all along, is Svadilfari.
So we go back to the construction site. The builder has just placed his last load of stones for the day. He is supremely confident. He only needs 20 more granite blocks to finish by sunset tomorrow. He's whistling, thinking about his magnificent prize.
But Svadilfari, who has been this tireless, obedient machine, suddenly starts acting strange. He's shaking his head, prancing, neighing. He smells something in the spring air.
He starts ignoring his master's commands and gallops off towards the sound.
This is Loki's entrance. The builder sees his horse galloping back, but then he realizes it's not his horse, it's two horses. The second one is a magnificent chestnut mare.
And the source is very specific about the biological precision of this transformation. Every line of her, every inch of her, everything about the chestnut was female. Loki has weaponized biology. He's weaponized lust.
It's a masterstroke, really. It's the one thing the builder can't control or counter. Pure instinctual distraction. The mare starts this luring dance. She pretends to graze, then canters away just as Svadilfari gets close.
And the great gray stallion completely forgets his master, the wall, the contract. The whole logistics engine of the giant's plan is derailed by primal instinct. He rears up, neighs, and runs after the mare.
The text describes it as almost a dance. They run across the meadow, sweat glistening on their flanks, and then they just vanish into the woods. The supply chain has been severed.
The builder is left there, cursing and spitting, waiting.
Yeah.
But Svadilfari doesn't come back. This is the moment the giant officially loses, because he's run out of time. He can't wait for the horse.
Right, so he's forced to try and replace the supernatural strength of Svadilfari with his own. He tries to haul the stone boat himself all through the night.
But where the horse could haul 20 blocks effortlessly, the giant struggles. He doesn't make it back by dawn. The sun is already high in the sky when he finally drags the sled back to Asgard.
And on it are only 10 stone blocks, half of what he needed. He's failed. He's missed the deadline.
And his failure is public and humiliating. The gods are all gathered, standing protectively around Freya, and they're not even pretending anymore. They're smiling, they're chuckling, openly taunting him.
The builder, who is scarlet with anger and exhaustion, he just drops the ropes and shouts the only thing he can, "You cheated!"
But Odin turns it right back on him. This is where they reveal their hidden knowledge. Odin is very careful. He says, "We have not cheated, no more than you have cheated. Do you think we would have let you build our wall if we had known you were a giant?"
So they use his own deception against him. The oath was made with a smith, but he was a Jotun, an enemy in disguise.
Exactly. Odin argues that the giant's concealed identity nullifies the spirit of the oath.
And that revelation just pushes the giant over the edge. He screams, "I am a mountain giant," and he smashes a granite block in his bare hands.
And the transformation is immediate and terrifying. He grows 20, 30, 50 feet tall. His face becomes like a cliff, just twisted with hatred. He charges the gods, holding the broken granite like clubs.
And this is the cue for the only solution that was ever really going to work in the end. Brute force. Just as the giant charges, Thor appears. He's back.
Right on time. The huge god, red-bearded and muscular, wearing iron gauntlets. He is the absolute opposite of Loki's trickery.
Diplomacy is over. Deceit has done its job. Thor doesn't bother with words. He just swings his hammer, Mjolnir.
There's a flash of lightning, a boom of thunder, and the hammer flies.
And the climax is just... it's brutal and it's final. The giant sees the hammer getting bigger and bigger, and then he saw nothing else, not ever again.
The threat is neutralized, bought with a clever cheat from Loki, and delivered with the overwhelming final force of Thor. They got their security, but only by using both trickery and violence.
So the crisis is over, the giant's gone, Asgard is safe. But the story doesn't quite end there, does it? The sources give us this final kind of cynical look at the victory.
The gods now have to finish the wall themselves.
Right. And it takes them many more weeks just to haul the last 10 blocks. And crucially, the source notes that their work wasn't nearly as good.
Yeah.
The last blocks were not as well-shaped or as well-fitted.
That's such a powerful symbolic detail, isn't it? Their security is complete, but it has a visible, inferior finish. The wall itself, the very foundation of their defense, it carries this permanent flaw, a little monument to their panic and their deceit. The perfection the giant offered was something they just couldn't achieve themselves.
And what about Loki, the architect of the whole deceit? He's gone for the best part of a year. No one knows where.
Only rumors of a magnificent chestnut mare seen in the fields of Midgard. Loki paid a very real physical price for his masterstroke.
And when he finally does come back to Asgard, he's not alone. He's followed by a little gray foal. And this foal is the ultimate biological cost of the whole crisis.
It has 8 legs instead of 4.
And it treats Loki as its mother, which, I mean, biologically, he was.
This is the second truly unexpected price they paid for the wall. It wasn't Freya or the sun or the moon. It was Loki's dignity and his biological transformation.
That foal grows up to be Sleipnir, the fastest and the strongest horse that ever there had been.
And Loki, ever the pragmatist, gives Sleipnir as a gift to Odin, which cements its place as the All-Father's steed, the horse that can ride across sky and water and even into the land of the dead. It's an amazing gift, but it's also this constant visible reminder of the desperate lengths Loki had to go to.
The source material notes that while people admire the horse, only a very brave person would ever mention its parentage to Loki. And nobody would dare do it twice. He makes sure anyone who mocks him for it suffers.
So in the end, that great wall, the foundational defense of their entire kingdom, it wasn't bought with divine power or honest work. It was bought with deceit, a gender-bending transformation, violence, and Loki's personal sacrifice. The whole structure of Asgard rests on a trick.
Which leaves us with a provocative thought for you to chew on. The oaths sworn on Odin's spear, Gungnir, were supposed to be unbreakable. Yet the gods found a way around the outcome without technically breaking the letter of the agreement. So what does this myth suggest to you about the nature of security and governance? Is an unbreakable oath really a guarantee of morality? Or is it just a legal obligation, always ready to be subverted by the cleverest lawyer or the cleverest trickster in the room?
And does creating lasting security always require some kind of hidden, unsavory sacrifice? Something to consider next time you look at the foundations of power. Until the next deep dive, keep questioning your contracts.
See you next time.